My name is Samantha. I make ASMR, and tonight I'm going to be talking about All Elite Wrestling's Full Gear from 2022. So, I have a bunch of notes for this. If you've never seen one of these before, I like to talk a lot about the outfits and storylines, and I'm getting way better at naming wrestling moves and knowing what they actually are. But if you're looking for like a serious wrestling critique, this is it for you. I hope that this can bring you some rest, some relaxation, and some tingles. I have one thing to mention before we start. I just have to say, Colt Cabana was on TV, like real TV, not dark. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. If you don't know, Colt Cabana is very much the reason that I started following wrestling. I liked his character a whole lot, especially, I know that people think that didn't work during the pandemic. I thought that it worked extra. Him going to wave only to realize that the crowd was empty, like, broke my heart. I like that he sews, just we were ticking boxes. So, just had to mention that because I didn't do a review, but I screamed. I'm surprised I didn't get a noise complaint. My roommates were like, "What's happening? What's happening?" I was like, "Colt Cabana's on TV." So, very, very fun night for me. So, this show was just great. I just have to preface it by saying that. Okay. Let's start by talking about the stage. There was like one big screen in the middle, and then two short ones, and then two larger ones. I really like that setup. I think that looked really impressive. It looked really cool. Yeah, I like that. Keep that. That was great. Beautiful. They have a Spanish and French announce team for this pay-per-view. Very exciting. We'll start with the pre-show. The announce team is Excalibur, Taz, and Toni Schiavone. We start with a 10-man tag of best friends plus Rocky Romero, and then they say like a mystery opponent. It's Danhausen. Everybody knows it's Danhausen. We're just waiting to see if we get a Horrorhausen reveal versus the Factory, which is QT Marshall, Cole Carter, Lee Johnson, Aaron Solo, and Nick Camarado. At one point, I think it's gotta be Excalibur Taz, but on commentary they go, and Danhausen, who's very nice, very evil, and very absent from this, which made me laugh very hard. The best friends go in for a hug. Oh, usually I would do my little outfits at this point, but they're what they usually wear, and I like that. There was not like a lot of update. Best friends go for the hug. The Factory is all on the outside ring post, so they pull all four of them down at the same time. I thought that was a very fun spot. The Factory then gets up, and then they do the best friends hugs with QT in the middle. Boo. They actually had Cole Carter doing quite a few fun spots. I think that they're going to convince me to like Cole Carter, which I didn't think was possible at the time. If you also haven't watched one of these before, I have a pretty big opinion that if a person comes from another company, but specifically WWE, they don't do a great job a lot of the times at like explaining who they are and their motivation and stuff like that. They just kind of go, "Look who's here," and then there's like nothing else, and I don't watch anything else. This is the only wrestling show that I watch, so I always have a hard time. Like, they introduced Cole Carter, and they were like, "It's Cole Carter," and like, it's like, cool. like, does he have like a reason that he's here? Just to like win? Okay, cool. So it was very nice to see him kind of get to shine in this because it made him much more likable. I know that he's like a heel, but you know, you still have to like want to watch him. So then we get QT about to get Orange Cassidy on the steps, and then we hear a new Danhausen theme play, new graphics, red lighting. Danhausen is in like a high collar jacket, new paint with little kind of like swirlies here, and then there's like blood around the lower half of his face. And then he has a shiny black pants, and then he comes out with the railroad spike and the jar of teeth. Yeah. I was going, teeth, the teeth, the teeth. So Camarado ends up taking the teeth treatment, is covered, but and that's the end of the match. Covered and pinned. QT tries to run away, but ends up getting hit with the spike. He does this fantastic sell where he just goes like flat on his back, arms flat at his side, legs together. I like that a lot. It was very, very fun spot. Then we get a best friend's hug, and while Trent looks uneasy about Danhausen, Rocky Romero looks so excited. He's like, yeah. Which I just thought was so funny. He's very excited for his new scary friend. So I thought that this was actually really good. I think that a lot of people in the factory got a time to shine. Like, I'd love getting to see Lee Johnson and Nick Camarado, and then even too that I feel like I don't get as excited about with Cole Carter and Aaron Solo. I feel like they really got a chance, and I'm gonna say it. I think like QT's a little funny, so it was a really, really nice opening match. My roommate was watching with me, who sometimes watches wrestling with me, but like she doesn't really know what's going on, which is fine. I follow this too closely, and she was like, teeth, and I was like, teeth, and she was like, okay, gross, but okay. So I was very excited about the horror house and turn. I like seeing, you know, evil Danhausen. That's very fun. We come backstage to Renee and Konosuke Takeshita, and he is all elite, which is so exciting. I don't know if I mentioned this on here, but I like watching him so much. He's so cool. Like, I have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, just very exciting. And then we get Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. We have Ethan Page joining the commentary team. Brian comes out in half black, half white gear with Prince Nana. Ricky is in all white with like blue kind of accents and gold accented trunks. They were very pretty. There's a fun match, pretty brutal. Like Ricky is definitely the one that needs to overcome his kind of adversary. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Adversary. It's definitely painted as that. Brian goes off the top rope, gets absolutely nothing. There is a huge cheer for Ricky after that, which is very exciting. He is a star. And then finally, Brian, he's kind of been the whole match trying to get Brian up for the Rochambeau, and I was like, stop trying to pick him up, even though they do this spot every once in a while, and I know that it's going to end with them picking them up, but I'm like, stop, it's wasting energy and wasting time. But he finally gets Brian up for the Rochambeau and then pins, so he advances in the tournament. He at the end, Ethan Page walks down to the ramp to like have a stare down, and Ricky Starks blows a kiss, and Ethan goes, okay. Just that made me laugh. I didn't see a lot of, oh, so sorry. I see a lot of people talking about it, but I laughed so hard. Then we get Eddie Kingston and Renee backstage. Eddie Kingston can't even really say anything about the match because he's very emotional and very excited for it. So next we have Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama. Eddie Kingston has said before that this is like his dream match. Anything that I say to describe this will be a disservice. It's free on YouTube. Go watch it. Like, for real. Jun's outfit, I love. It's one of those, I love those long sleeveless robes. I just think it's such a look with like the split in the back, so the letters when they walk. So that has contrasting lining inside. Love that. And then trunks. I love a long sleeveless robe and trunks. That's the best outfit. Like, sorry. Eddie is wearing a vest, which is new for him, and it's not that I don't like it. I just think that he should have unzipped it, and it would have made it better because it would have looked like a layering piece. I don't know if the vest was in reference to something. Couldn't tell ya. And then Ortiz comes out in his best bride from Kill Bill cosplay. I loved it. I have those same pants for real. Just amazing. There's a lot of chops. There's multiple pinfall attempts. There is eventually the spinning back fist with the cover, and Eddie ends up winning. They give him a mic. He's crying. I'm crying. Everyone in the audience is crying. My roommate is crying, who has never seen an Eddie Kingston match. Just because I said that's his dream match, and she was like, oh my gosh. They have just wonderful moments together. They're raising each other's arms. Eddie says, well, if you haven't bought the pay-per-view yet, what are you doing? Buy the pay-per-view. And I'm like, I'm watching it, don't worry. Like, I got it. It was just a very nice end to the pre-show and to really get people sold on it. So JR enters for commentary for the official show, and we start the official show with Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus. This is a cage match, pinfall or submission. Christian enters first. He's in a maroon version of the jacket that he's been wearing the past, 3 months. Love. I don't know where he's finding these same jackets in different colors, but good on you. Luchasaurus is in all black with alternating shininess. So like big parts of his tights have like this kind of like patent leather, and then like other parts have this kind of latex, very shiny fabric. Jack Perry enters, half up, half down hair. Slay. It looked great. And honestly, it just made me feel better because a lot of times I'm like, I need you to pin the hair out of your face so badly. Please, I'm begging. And then he has black trunks and black knee pads with zebra leaf appliques. It sounds like too much. It is a little, but I love it. I love that he is experimenting with different fabrics and appliques and motifs. I love that. I would absolutely like to see a version of brown trunks, green leaf appliques. Just a very traditional Tarzan. I think it would be very fun. I don't know if he's trying to get away from the Tarzan or lean into the Tarzan or not, like choose, so that's just very, very interesting. Alright, so onto the match. There's pretty quickly a chokeslam attempted by Luchasaurus, but Jungle Boy just like cleans the cage. It was very funny, very fun spot to kind of wake the crowd up because it's not what you expect. Jungle Boy is bleeding pretty quickly and is getting thrown into the cage, and it is just brutal looking. Like, it looks awful. Eventually, Christian on the outside takes the keys, he unlocks the cage, and then the ref corps comes out and takes him back, kicking and screaming. He's still got the arm in the sling, but of course he can't help but meddle. Luchasaurus ends up bringing in a table and then 2 chairs. They find the outside for a little bit, but then they're back in. There is a choke slam to Jungle Boy onto the chair. Jungle Boy does a pile driver to Luchasaurus, but he kicks out, and then Luchasaurus pile drives at Jungle Boy twice, and Jungle Boy kicks out. Slay. So, I'm telling people, I gotta start taking slay out of my vocabulary. Jack jumps off. We finally get he's climbing the cage. He has Luchasaurus on the table. Jack is climbing the cage. He jumps off the top of the cage to do like an elbow through Luchasaurus. Brutal. Again, my roommate was like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like, "I know." And then that's so cool. And then he gets Luchasaurus into the snare trip, and Luchasaurus taps, and then we get Jungle Boy climbing the cage in celebration once again. So this was just a really great start, honestly. Like, this was so fun. And I feel like Jungle Boy has kind of had like a fun match lately. I don't know if it was like supposed to be fun, but it was fun for me. He's been like pretty brutally attacked these past few months, so it was nice to see a match where he looked like he might have been enjoying it. I don't know, but hopefully he was. Next, we get Death Triangle versus the Elite. Okay, we'll go. This is for the Trios title. We will go. I have so many notes about this. It takes up 2 pages. These are for the Trios title. Let's go through Death Triangles first. Phoenix is in gold and red with the color changing sequin cape and a pretty mask with the accents of the colors, but like kind of base white. I thought it was beautiful. Penta is in his Joker gear, but only the bottoms, no shirt, with a lighter purple jacket with a painting on the back. Shirtless Penta era. And then Pac was in his usual stuff. Perfect. Don't mess with if it ain't broke. You know, don't fix it. Next, the Elite enters. All the lights go out. I wrote in my notes, don't do this to me. All the lights go out. I have no clue what like poem or like thing they were quoting, but on the screen you hear the clock ticking, and then on the screen is this like, "We are the sons of, you know, the fathers before us," or what, you know, stuff like that. And it says, "But we will carry on." And it says "carry on," and you're like, "Oh my gosh, they got the rights." And I was so excited. Oh my gosh. I was showing him down. I was like, "They got the song rights. They got the song rights." So they come out to "Carry On My Wayward Son." Both of the Young Bucks and Kenny have been like, "Oh my gosh, I loved listening to that when I was younger." But Kenny also said that he watched Supernatural before Dynamite, which is just very funny to me. I never watched Supernatural because I already liked Sherlock and Doctor Who, and I couldn't complete the trifecta, you know? So, I don't know. Me and my roommate kind of want to watch Supernatural, so maybe we'll start. They're all singing along. They do this great pose. They're in the shadows. They're like silhouettes when the lights go out. The lights are gorgeous. I just watched BT where they're like talking about the lighting. And oh my gosh, the lighting is beautiful. Nick and Matt are in all white, and I don't know who's going to get this reference, but they look like Jason Dolly and Nicholas Braun from the Disney Channel original movie Minutemen, which is only a compliment. That's my favorite DCOM. But it just made me laugh because as soon as they walked out, I was like, "Oh my gosh, Minutemen." Kenny has the black sparkly boot covers with very similar tights to what he usually wears, with kind of, you know, complex pattern. Great, they look fantastic. Brandon Nakazawa and Don are there. John ends up joining commentary. I never thought I would be excited to see Don Callis. So let's start the match. You should just watch it. I cannot even begin to cover everything that happened. I really like how Kenny and the Young Bucks wrestled together. I used to sit there and be like, who's legal? Who's legal? Who's legal? Because it was hard for me to follow as a newer fan. And now I think that my brain just like shuts off. Like, I don't even think about that. Like, I'm not even trying to follow like the rules anymore when they come on. I'm just gonna like have a good time. There is an FU Punk chant almost immediately, which is kind of crazy because I won't lie, I did kind of expect him to come back, assuming that MJF won tonight, which would have been, I did not agree with because it would have once again taken away MJF's moment. But that's why if CM Punk is coming back, that's good. That's wild. Like, it's gonna be a wild thing to hear. That was just so wild because not that I don't like CM Punk, I don't like what he did at all, and I think that if I said that about my coworkers, it wouldn't go too well. So like, I just thought it was funny. Peg spits at Kenny because they're like doing some little thingies. They very much break into a brother split in the very beginning, so older with older and younger with younger. So we get to see those dynamics kind of play out. Nick ends up jumping over out into the crowd and is offered a drink, and he goes, "What is this?" I think that they said tea, and he goes, and he drinks it. Very funny. Crowd is absolutely insane for them. It's very fun to see. There's a three-way drop kick on Kenny, which is very fun. There were a lot of kind of like four-way kicks or three-way kicks to one person. Paxton's nose is leaking, and then I did like this. This is a little part of the commentary team. The commentary team was like, and that's bad because it affects his breathing, which I guess that I knew, but I never thought about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it would affect his breathing. That is bad. Just, that's what I like commentary for, because I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. Matt, with a double Northern Lights suplex where he does like the backbend, like throws a guy backwards, to both of the Lucha Bros at the same time. So he like arches back and throws them both. Crazy. There was a mid-air Hurricane Rana to Penta from Nick off of the top rope onto the outside. That was so cool. That was so cool. Like, all these notes at this point are written in like all caps. I have no way to even describe how they get into these like three-way pile drivers onto Death Triangle. Like at one point, like Peg and Kenny, like Peg's on the ground and Kenny's in the air, and then they just like flip. That's insane. I have no clue. Phoenix splashes by jumping off of Penta's shoulders. So Penta is sitting on the top rope. Phoenix is on top of him standing. And then he goes, oh, amazing. Pac does his black arrow onto Kenny into a brutalizer that Nick eventually breaks. Pac throws Phoenix the hammer. Phoenix throws it back. Then there are more hammer shenanigans where like Pac wants to use it, but I think that Nick ends up kicking him before he can use it on Kenny. Then Kenny does a V trigger to Phoenix. Hammer is placed into his hand by Pac. Phoenix is then brought up into the one-winged angel. He hits Kenny on the head with the hammer, knocking him out, pins, and Death Triangle retains. I was very excited because I like that they are getting I know that they won dirty, okay, but it feels like they are getting rewarded for stepping up when they were needed, which I appreciate. Now, we are going to get 7 more matches of this, which I probably won't get tired of, like the actual wrestling I won't get tired of. I might get tired of the storyline because there's no way that they're gonna win like 4 in a row, you know? Like, they booked 7 for a reason. Now, I think that after seeing the feedback, it should maybe be like 5. Like, make it competitive, but like, maybe like 5, 7's a lot. Like, week after week after week after week. So, I think that's interesting, but I was very excited about the storytelling of this. Phoenix seems definitely upset that he had to use that, which is a retweet king. You don't need to cheat to win. But I am, yeah, I'm just very excited about the storytelling advancement of this. I don't want a Phoenix heel turn. I want a Phoenix solo run. I want him to break up with that triangle. I actually don't want that, but if those are the choices, I want a Phoenix solo run. Oh my gosh, I want Phoenix versus MJF. Like, I want Phoenix versus Wardlow. Actually, that would be so fun. I actually don't. That's what I want. Period. Then we get Jade versus Nyla Rose. Nyla comes in a lowrider with Vicky Guerrero and Marina Shafir. We've talked about this. I love Marina Shafir. She's so funny to me, and her like sitting in the passenger seat, loved. And her little flannel. Nyla is wearing a white outfit with some black mesh on the sides and then red lace kind of detailing and headband. Baddies are in all black with huge money fans. I have no clue how they are. They're like this big. Like, I'm surprised they're not creating a windstorm. Jade is dressed as somebody from the Thundercats. I never watched Thundercats, but I really like the outfit. She has this longer, well, actually, it's probably about my length, maybe a little longer, orange hair, with like leopard / cheetah print spots like done into the hair. I thought it was very beautiful, and I love that she dresses up. I love a costume. I love a pay-per-view moment. So the match, she pump kicks Nyla over the barricade. That was very fun to me. Nyla at one point slaps her. She slaps her so hard that Nyla's like hood comes up over her face, which I thought was very funny. Jade beast bombs Nyla. Nyla kicks out. Then Nyla jaded Jade, and Jade kicks out. I thought that was very fun. There was a pump kick. Jaded. Nyla is then pinned, and Jade retains her title. This was definitely a slower start. I think they picked up. This was a worse showing from Jade than I think that we've seen lately, which is kind of disappointing. But I still had a lot of fun watching it. It, you know, at the end she throws up the middle finger to Nyla, and I was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. I think that what it lacked in kind of as good of technique as we've been seeing from Jade, it made up for in the emotionality, I don't know, that it kind of had, because it felt like Jade was like for real angry, which I love because usually we don't really get to see a story with her, so it was nice to see one of the stories kind of built up. So let me try and actually do some sounds for you. So then we have Claudio versus Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. I will be honest, I was not excited for this match. But 4 outfits, I'll tell you, they did win me over. 4 outfits. Claudia was in gray and red tights. I guess I should say maroon because it probably was a William Regal kind of color. Bryan Danielson came out in the maroon and white marble tights and knee pads. I really liked those. Sammy came out to put that down. Sammy came out in like a black cape with like gold horns and like a gold bar that then led to like SG. I don't know what that was. He looked like Loki, kind of. I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be. It was one of those things where you're like, this feels like it's supposed to be a reference, but I don't know what the reference is to. But I think that's a lot of times my biggest problem with Sammy's pay-per-view gear. He always just like throws something in there that's like, is this your character? What is this? It's just not for me. Jericho goes out in a black leather jacket. Sorry, I'm still laughing. With those red and gold color changing sequins on the collar. And there's like some flaming skulls like painted in that same red and gold. I actually kind of liked it. I thought that it worked well. The color changing sequence, I don't know if I was in love with for him, but that's okay. And then I noticed this last match, but I didn't like notice it until this match. But obviously, Aubrey's hairstyle did not change in one match, but she has a zigzag part, ponytail Swerve. that was a Swerve. She looked great. For the match, we have Brian and Claudio teaming up and isolating Jericho and Sammy. There's a little handshake between Claudio and Brian, but neither of them will let go because they're getting ready to fight. I thought that was kind of funny. They then start uppercutting each other, and then they are grappling around on the floor, which I know is like real wrestling, but I always have to call it grappling. Brian and Claudio end up putting Jericho in a single leg grab, each with one leg. Again, I love these spots where we're like dividing a person into two so that two people can like pin them. I think it's very funny. Sammy ends up breaking it. The story of this is that Sammy won't pin anyone so that Jericho could retain, but eventually breaks up a pin and Jericho is upset. Sammy then tries to put the walls of Jericho onto Jericho. Then, what the heck did I write here? So sorry. I was like, then Jericho puts the walls on Sammy. I believe that could be so wrong. I just wrote down then Jericho and Sammy. What do they do? There's a sequence with Brian off the top rope, gets put into the walls. Jericho won't let go, so Claudio forces the break with a delayed vertical suplex where he like hoists him up into a sharpshooter, and Brian gets in the label lock at the same time. That submission hold that he does, and then Sammy takes them both out, helps Jericho up, and you're like, okay, they're friends, but it's a trick. It's just to take him out with a shooting star press, and I did scream at that. And Jericho kicks out, which, okay, so I fully thought that Sammy was gonna win this, and I was like, I didn't know how I felt about that. I wasn't thrilled, but I also am not really thrilled with like anybody else winning. I don't think, like, I don't know, it just feels like we have a lot of really well-established names winning the ROH title, which feels weird from like my interpretation of what Ring of Honor is. So I was like, they're gonna put it on Sammy, and they didn't. Spoiler, but that sequence was the most cheers that Sammy has gotten in months. So I thought that they were going to mess this up because I thought that Sammy was gonna win, and they didn't do it right then, and I was like, you should have done it right then. But yeah, the most cheers he's gotten in months. I'm sure that he probably thought that was a little wild. What's been happening? Brian almost pins Claudio. What are these abbreviations that I'm doing? I have no clue. there is a giant swing onto Sammy, and then Jericho like leaps onto Claudio mid-swing. It's pretty well timed, but it's not quite connecting, but they kind of cover it up. And then he ends up pinning Claudio to retain the belt. So again, some kind of mixed feelings about it. They definitely won me over by the end of the match. Because again, I wasn't like super psyched going in. I was like, okay. I like Bryan Danielson a lot. Not my favorite style of wrestling. I know that it's like really, really good, but I am such a, I love when they jump off the ropes, you know. Such a pageantry type of wrestling fan. So I was like, I think this is gonna be slower than I would usually want. It wasn't. It was pretty fast, so that was fun. There were a couple moments that I did scream at. I was like, that was so funny. Ah. But yeah, just kind of, I don't really know how to feel. So I think that they are definitely kind of building up for Sammy to leave Jericho. They've done this kind of storyline though, like twice now. And he never leaves Jericho. So if it's another Swerve, like, it won't be that crazy because he never leaves. But we move on to Saraya and Britt Baker. Saraya comes out in a leather jacket on top with a little paint that I love, and then she's also wearing a flannel tied around her waist. Don't know how I feel about that. 2 jackets, both in different places, but I thought it was cute. I like the rain gear. Her brother's here, which is very cute. They cut to him during the match. And then Britt is in green and gold. On to the match. It is definitely, the goal is for Britt is to break Saraya's neck. So it's pretty brutal for a while because she has a lot of these neck spots, which I like get. I just hate when they like pretend to break their neck again. That doesn't quite work for me. It feels a little yucky. I don't know. I just don't want anybody to break their neck. Britt is alone, so she ends up hitting herself with the glove. She's on the outside at one point, and she breaks Saraya over to her brother, like punching her. She goes, "Bye, brother," which I think is very funny. She is choking She's choking the crap out of Saraya. There is a lockjaw with a counter, but then Saraya ends up winning. It's very nice. It's a nice little moment for her. I'm very glad that she could come back. I realize that, again, I'm in the minority because she like had a movie. So like even people like don't watch wrestling, but I didn't watch the movie. I like, again, think that there's like a little bit of a hard time introducing her a little bit, only because I feel like Britt did a really good job in the promos up to this, that it was like, well, I'm gonna cheer for Britt because that slapped. But it was very nice, you know, to see somebody come back and do what they love. So next, I'm gonna take a drink. We have Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Samoa Joe. Let's talk outfits. Hobbs is in his usual kind of singlet with the same kind of pattern. It's purple and silver this time with neon green accents. I love secondary colors together, so the green and the purple I love. Joe is in dusty rose and black shorts. I thought it was a very pretty color. And then Wardlow is in all black because he's dressed for a funeral. Little does he know, it is his own. I like the all black though. I thought it was very cool, very powerful. The match, there's lots of hitting, there's lots of chops, there's lots of punches. Hobbs does I said back bends, but that very could have all been back breaker with Samoa Joe. Hobbs is talking rap the whole time. I loved it. I loved that the mic picked that up. I loved that we could hear it. Joe was on the outside with Wardlow and Hobbs. With Wardlow and Hobbs just like ramps into them, like both of them, like into the barricade. They throw Joe out of the way, but like he nails. It was crazy. The fans that were at that barricade were just like, yeah. I was like, good for you guys. Hobbs takes the straps down, and then Wardlow kicks out of the spine buster that Hobbs puts on him. Wardlow then powerbombs Hobbs 3 times, but before he can pin, Samoa Joe comes, hits him with the title belt, which is in full view of the ref. Is this like a no rules match? Because like the ref saw it completely, didn't have his, I don't know, maybe I missed part of the rules explaining, but I was like, is that allowed? That cannot be allowed. And then he chokes out Hobbs' twin. So we have a double champ in Samoa Joe, Wardlow, and Hobbs. I feel like it's stare at each other, so I can't tell if we're building to like still more enemies or if they have a team up. That would be wonderful. That would be fantastic. I would love that. So then we get Jake Hager, and when we get Danielson, Orange Cassidy, Jericho, and Jake Hager backstage. Orange Cassidy tells Jericho that Tomohiro Ishii wants a shot at the ROH title. He said, fine. And then Jake Hager and Orange Cassidy are together. Also, Danielson is back in like regular clothes. And I was like, where are the teeth, babe? Where's the blood? I don't know what that means. Oh, there was a very funny part though where Jericho looks at Orange Cassidy and goes, first of all, you still owe me $7,000 for my jacket, which I knew that if I was watching with my dad would have laughed at, so that was very fun. Jake Hager is like, what's in the backpack? And Orange Cassidy pulls out the All Atlantic title. He goes, this, do you like it? And he goes, yeah, like I like my hat. And the crowd is going crazy. Maybe I'm missing something. I get it. He wears the hat. It's not that funny of a joke, y'all. Calm down a little, please. So next, we have Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus Darby Allin and Sting. Outfits. Sanjay is in an all-red suit to match Jay and Jeff's red gear. Jarrett's gear is amazing. It's so good. Once again, sleeveless robe with a contrasting lining. You cannot go wrong. It's red. It's got like these silver kind of like motifs all around it. He has a red guitar. I love a prop. And then he calls back and he brings out Sting doubles, which I love. Camp. Sting and Darby aren't coming out, but the stage illuminates to a spotlight with a body bag on it. Lethal then goes to search with the doubles. The music starts. They all kind of stop. He walks forward some more. A bunch of smoke comes out of like the fog machine or dry ice machine or whatever. Darby runs through it, hitting him with the skateboard, taking out all the doubles, and then we pan back to the ring. Sting standing behind Jeff Jarrett. It's just such a fun start to the match. I love it. Again, my non-wrestling watching friends were like, oh, and I was like, yeah. And so Darby and Jeff immediately through the crowd. Then Sting and Jay Lethal follow very quickly after. Darby gets out a ladder and attempts, okay, so he gets out a ladder, and then we cut back to Sting and Jay Lethal, and Sting is just dropping Jay Lethal like onto the barricade, which is where we get the classic Taz line. Oh, it's like a yam bag Yahtzee over there. Hey, so funny. So Darby has now climbed the ladder. He then coffin drops off the ladder, attempting to hit Jeff. Satnam Singh catches him midair and then throws him onto the ramp. That was so funny. And they do it again. Jay jumps off the gate into Satnam's arms, who's waiting there, and then Sting jumps off onto both of them. And they all go down. Serve. That was so fun. We are now back into the ring. Now we are in a little bit more of a traditional match. Jeff, again, what am I writing? Jeff gets put in the Scorpion Deadlock. Sanjay then hits Sting. Sting stands up and is like, "What are you doing?" Satnam steps around from the other side, choke slams Sting. Jeff covers Sanjay, Sting gets too many S names. Sting then kicks out. Darby coffin drops, attempting to get onto Jade Lethal, but Jade Lethal rolls out of the way. Jeff Jarrett smacks the guitar, so he coffin drops onto the guitar. That was so fun. And then he pops back up. It's very funny. I love when they just go whoop. Darby coffin drops onto. So Sting has Satnam in the Scorpion Death Drop, but it can't get him like back. So Darby coffin drops onto them, and then we get one more coffin drop onto Jay. Darby and Sting win. So very fun match. Next, we have Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. Okay, they did it. A few weeks ago, a couple months ago, when they teased the Jamie Hayter turn on Britt Baker, and then I was like, I feel like they're not gonna do anything with this, and then they didn't do anything with it, and I was like, so is she gonna like win? Because I want Jamie to win, and I was really looking forward to her being out on her own. They kept them together. I'm okay with that. I can accept that. So outfits: Jamie dressed to win, the white coat, the holographic corset, and then holographic and houndstooth gear. There's nothing better. That is the best outfit. She wins. That's the best outfit of the night. Toni is in her red and black gear. Imagine there's a lot of grappling to start. Jamie with 2 snap suplexes, which just looks so cool. She just like throws her hips and like throws them back. And it's a fairly, I'm sure that other people do that, but like, I love that move. That's so cool. And like, Taz said something like, "Oh, if I would have seen that, I would have stolen it," which I love. I love seeing a move that is like fairly unique to the female wrestlers doing it, because I feel like a lot of times we don't quite get that as much. So seeing like a strength move that's more unique to her, I love. They are punching each other. Jamie is rocked with the booty bump. That's what I call the hip attack, because it's the correct name for it. I just want them to change it to the booty bump. Hayter's moves just look brutal. It looks like she's beating the crap out of Toni Storm. Rebel ends up cracking Toni with the belt, but she kicks out, then Rebel is thrown out, and Rebel does this sell where she's like, nah. I thought it was very funny. It made me laugh. Storm is now bleeding. Britt is then on the apron. Toni punches her, then Britt gets back up onto the turnbuckles and ends up taking the pad with her when she's pushed off of the turnbuckles. Toni then goes into the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, Haterade, and then Hayter wins. Oh my gosh, new women's champ. I did not think that they would do it, but they did. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. She looked so good. She also had half up, half down hair. If you want to win tonight, half up, half down. Little ponytail. And then Britt and Rebel join her in the ring. They're wearing Jamie Hayter shirts, so it does make me like that they kept them together a little bit, because that's so cute. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited. I love Thunder Rosa. you know, I get that it's interim. We'll see what happens with that, but I'm so excited that Jamie won. Oh my gosh. Next, we have the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory. Okay. So going into the match, Keith is very specific about how they don't need to cheat to win. He does not want to cheat to win, okay? Foreshadowing. Outfits. Swerve is in a black trench sleigh with like a Daft Punk video face mask, also sleigh. Keith comes out in navy and black with like buckles. I love the buckle accent, but no like silhouette, which is kind of sad. I get that it's like tacky or whatever, or maybe he's trying to move away from it. I love tacky. But I do really like the buckles, so if he's going for more serious gear, I'm not against this. The Acclaimed come out. My roommates and I were giggling at the rap. So my roommate, this is a fashion design apartment, so my roommates laughed at like Adidas dropped Kanye line, and then also they are Disney adults, so they really liked you looked like Randall. Swerve, you look like Randall from Monsters Inc. I laughed at you look like a black Jay and Silent Bob, and then saying that he loved Keith in The Blind Side. So you know, there was a little bit of something in there for everyone. And then the Acclaimed wearing pink and white, no black. That should be permanent. I love the pink and white. You know, only black for the accents. It's like bright. It's colorful. Do that. It's fresh. Do the pink and white. So the match, Bowens does have an arm injury. It is alluded to, so they are very much working that. Swerve gets a barricade out from the audience. Max does a sick tightrope leg drop. Very fun. I don't feel like we see him go up there a lot. Keith. Oh my gosh, what did I write? Keith. I'm gonna say stops. Oh, Keith catches Swerve, so that he doesn't go into the guardrail. But then Max comes off of the top rope, so he ends up hitting down onto the barricade that Swerve had moved there earlier. That looks awful. Like, not like it looked like bad, but like that looked like it hurt. Swerve is very heel. He gets Bowen into these head kicks. He has the camera zoom in. Before he kicks him in the head again. Keith just throws Max at one point. I was like, oh my gosh. There was a fall from glory onto Caster, but he ends up kicking out. Caster is on Lee's shoulders. Okay, so he's got his legs on Lee's shoulders. He bends back, tags in Bowens, and then Keith just like swings him still onto his shoulders into Bowens so that he hits him. And that was funny. Swerve then pulls out the pliers to use on one of the Acclaimed, but Billy Gunn, daddy ass, runs out to save the day. The ref, of course, stops him. Swerve then wants Lee to use the pliers, and Lee says no, and then Swerve slaps him, and Lee just leaves. That's so funny. Like, that's hilarious. That is so funny. That's the funniest possible outcome. I loved it. Bowens then slaps Swerve, pins, and wins. So the Acclaimed are still the tag champions. It was very much best of 3. I love. Very fun. Again, I love that we see stories progressing. That's fantastic. So for our last match of the night, we have MJF versus John Moxley. MJF comes out in a black and furry version of his robe, and also all black trunks. Don't love the black. Mostly because my run roommate goes, he looks like that toy. Stretch Armstrong. He looks like Stretch Armstrong. Which is very funny. He comes out and he goes back in and he comes out and it's like, yeah. And the crowd's like, yeah. Because we are in, fantastic. He then motorboats a woman in the audience with consent. He does ask. I love that part that he asked. Fantastic. Mox comes out in maroon pants. He always wears black pants, but today he wore maroon for the pay-per-view. He wears Regal's colors. I'm mad about it. I'm so mad about it. He wears maroon. He wears William Regal's colors. Again, gear is for storytelling. The fact that the entirety of the Blackpool Combat Club who competed today wore maroon is not an accident. As he's walking through the crowd, some guy with the Burberry scarf is like holding it up. Mox turns around and goes, I thought it was very funny. I love seeing like shades of like heel Mox, but not like angry heel Mox, just like annoyed heel Mox, like making fun of the crowd and stuff. I love that. So MJF is yelling during the match. I'm sure that's probably the amount of noise that he usually makes, but the mics just picked it up. But it was very funny to hear him like yelling. Mox is of course biting and punching and chopping throughout the match. MJF is at one point is just bouncing around the ropes, making like he's gonna go on the outside, but he's just bouncing around the ropes and it's like this. That was very funny. Again, loving like mean Jon Moxley. MJF then like sprays water at Mox on the outside. Gross. Max sets up a table on the outside. It's the announce table. He just drags it over. MJF pile driver to Mox. And that on the apron, and that messes up his knee. Pretty immediately grabs his knee. There are lots of MJF chants. There is a pile driver through the table by Moxley. And then, but luckily MJF is able to make it back into the ring before the count out at 9, of course. Then it is working the knee, the figure 4, because now Moxley sees his weakness. MJF takes out the ref by pulling him into Mox's way. He then pulls the ring out of his trunks. William Regal comes down from the ramp. He says, "Don't you use that, blah, blah, blah." Max throws the ring, gives Regal the middle finger. Regal then, where are we? Some point. Then Mox begins choking MJF out. There is then a new ref. The new ref also gets knocked out. Then Bryce is getting up because Regal has now told Mox, you have to get the ref up. That's the only way that you're gonna win. So as soon as Moxley turns his back, Regal slides MJF the brass knuckles. My one roommate is from London and she goes, "Knuckle dusters." Which I thought was so funny. Bryce doesn't see it. And then Mox hits him, shoves him into his trunks. And then MJF covers. We have a new champion. I'm so excited. Okay, apparently everybody knew that this was gonna happen. I didn't. Sorry. I thought he was gonna cheat, but I just thought it was gonna be like, of course I gotta use my time in ring. What do you think? I am the good guy. He looks genuinely emotional. It's very nice. I just after this, I showed my friends the Rosie O'Donnell interview, and I was like, look, he's like living his dream. My friends can't stop singing. You are my sunshine, like he does in that video. Anyway, that I had so much fun this match. I did not expect him to do that. I did not expect Regal to do that. I'm having way more fun with Regal doing that. And I'm so excited for the promo that we are going to get tomorrow from the Blackpool Combat Club. I am especially excited entering Angry Wheeler Yuta era. Angry, spiteful Wheeler Yuta. That's very exciting to me. I'm very excited. And I'm a little sad. Angst. I love angstiness in the storytelling. MJF does some snow angels. It was just a wonderful end. I am so happy with the champions. Maybe besides Samoa Joe, because I liked Wardlow, but I'm hoping that they kind of give him some more storytelling. Oh my gosh, this was such a good pay-per-view. I had so much fun. I rewatched like half of it because I couldn't even take notes for most of it while I watched. I just had to, go back and rewatch later. Oh, just so much fun. Jamie Hayter's women's champion. And Triangle retained. It just